So this session is about building your apps on Lightning. So hopefully, this will be one of the many sessions you will attend around Lightning. As you know, Lightning is a big focus for us. We have been delivering a lot of programs. The product team is working hard on enhancements to the Lightning side of things. So what I'm going to do today is going to be a declarative session. So we won't write any code. We'll do a bunch of demos. I'll go back and forth between my slides and my actual org. I would like to keep it interactive since this is the first breakout session. So if you have questions, please raise your hand, and I'll hopefully get your question in. So please, if you have a question, don't wait until the end. I would love to answer questions as we go. So let's get into it. My name is Hemant Bedekar. I'm a customer success manager. So we work with customers, and my focus primarily is Lightning. So we help our customers with Lightning adoption, using Lightning, making it more easier for their end users. And part of it is how many more declarative-only features we have in Lightning, how much more you can do in Lightning just using the declarative features. So I'm going to show the app part of it today. But before we go there, I do have to give you a forward-looking statement. I just want to remind you that we might talk about some things that are forward-looking on the roadmap. So please make your buying decisions based on products that are generally available today and not on our roadmap. So this is kind of the broad agenda for today. I'll do a bunch of demos. If you have questions which go beyond this, please raise your hand and bring it up anyway. If it makes sense, I might be able to answer it here. And if not, I will hang out after the session for the next half hour. So please find me, and I'll be happy to answer questions. So the big difference between apps in the classic world and apps in the Lightning world is that what you had in the classic interface was that there was a concept of apps. On the right-hand side, on the top, you had a drop-down menu where you could click on it, and then you could change your app. But when you change the app, what really happens? It loads a new set of tabs, right? And the tabs are essentially, it's a collection of, it's an object, or you have a custom object, or you have a Visualforce page, right? But what you see on the tab, it remains the same regardless of which app you are accessing, right, in the classic world. What we have done in Lightning, since we had this opportunity to kind of rethink how our interface looks and behaves, is that in Lightning what you can do is you can build task-specific custom apps. So what that means is when you create an app in Lightning, you can actually customize the app. You can give it a color. You can give it an icon, a picture. And then more importantly, when you go inside the app, the pages that you see. So let's say, for example, you have a sales set of users. You can create an app and call it the sales app. And then let's say you have service users. So you can create another app called the service app. And for those two sets of users, what you can do is you can configure your account detail page to look different. So you can have two different UIs, but for the same data, right? So if you're looking at a specific account page, you get the same data coming to you, but the way the data is represented can be different in different apps. So it is a very easy, straightforward way, and I'm going to show you demos, so you'll actually see me build an app from scratch. I have an org, and we'll actually build an app, and I'll show you how straightforward it is. So just a simple example here, how easy it is, and you can have task-specific contextual apps. So when a person logs in, you can grant access to that person based on their profile to specific apps, and then when they access that app, they have specific pages that they can see when they go to their account detail page, or let's say an opportunity detail page. Other than that, we can do app branding. So I can set an icon on an app, I can set a color, and I'll show you what that looks like. Different navigation styles. So some of you might be familiar with, we have something called console apps, right? So there is two types of apps. One is a standard app, second is a console app. In Lightning, it's as easy as choosing the appropriate radio button on what type of navigation you want in your app. So when you build an app, it's a simple choice. You can say, I want console-type navigation, or you want the standard navigation. Third is the utility bar. So this is new, and this is a Lightning-only feature. So this is our way of rethinking, the left bar in Classic, right? In Classic, you had a left bar, and you could put some links in there. When you install some packages, they could install some links in there. Now, when you go to Lightning, we don't have that left bar. And a lot of customers gave us feedback saying, we miss it, we need it, can you do something about that? So our way of kind of solving that problem was the utility bar. And I'll show you what it looks like. So what it essentially is it's a persistent bar. It's a footer. It shows up at the bottom of your browser window. And the utility bar, again, can be app-specific. So if you have a sales app that you configure, you can configure a utility bar, and inside the utility bar, what you put is Lightning components. And Lightning components are the building blocks of Lightning pages. So for a sales app, if they want to make phone calls, if you have an inside sales team and you have some kind of a CTI integration, you can put the CTI Lightning component inside the utility bar. So it's out of the way. It's a small little icon at the bottom of the window. It's always there. If you have a marketing app, and in the marketing app, you want the ability to take notes, you can put a different Lightning component, let's say the notes component, let's say the chatter component. So you have full control of that, right? And then Lightning pages per app. So I described it briefly, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you can actually configure your pages, make them look different based on the context. So in a sales app, service app, marketing app, you can actually make your Lightning pages look different while showing the same data. And just using declarative features, using the tool called the Lightning App Builder, you can just easily, using WYSIWYG drag and drop tool, you can actually reconfigure your pages and make them look different. So this is what the page looks like. When you create a new app, the screenshot on the left-hand side is you configuring an app, just a few clicks, and I'll show you what it looks like. And then on the right-hand side, when the app is created, that's what the app looks like. And that's the app branding. So you can choose an icon, it shows up there, and then you can choose a color. So it's a very quick visual reminder of which app you're accessing. So if you have multiple apps, then oftentimes you kind of lose context of, am I using the sales app, am I using the service app? Choosing the right color, it quickly gives you that visual cue that, oh, maybe I'm on the wrong app. So you can quickly select something like that, right? So quick app branding is possible. Now you say, what happens to my classic apps? So your classic apps, for the most part, will work as is in Lightning. Okay, for the majority of your apps, they will work in Lightning. This is one of our partners, TaskRay. So this is one of their apps, and the screenshot is from Classic, as you can tell from the navigation bar at the top, and it's the same app in Lightning. So your Classic apps, for the most part, are going to work just the way they are in Lightning. All you have to do, you have control over that. So when you go to the settings page of your Classic apps, so hopefully you're able to see it. There is a checkbox called Show in Lightning Experience. That's the one I'm highlighting. So you get to control that as an administrator. So if you have a Classic app, you can control whether or not you want that app to show up for your Lightning users. What's the use case for that? So again, working with customers over the last 2 years, what I have noticed is a lot of customers, they like to stagger how they roll out Lightning to their users, which makes all the sense. They take a certain set of users and enable Lightning for that profile, and then learn some lessons, and then enable more people on Lightning. So while you're going through that transition, when you have some users on Classic, other users on Lightning, you can actually decide whether an app should show up in the Lightning world at all or not. If it makes sense for your use case, you can check that box, save the settings. That Classic app will now show up in Lightning without any work at all, right? What we do recommend, though, is for you to upgrade your Classic app, okay? What happens is, let's just remind of Classic apps, existing Classic apps. If you want to create a new app, a new Classic app, you have to go to the Classic interface. If you are in the Lightning interface, you know how you switch your interface between Lightning and Classic? So if you are in the Lightning interface, you won't be able to create a Classic app, right? Maybe it's logical, but just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that, if you want to create a Classic app. Existing Classic apps show up in Lightning, but you have the option of choosing whether or not they show up. And then you check that box, essentially. What we do recommend is for you to upgrade your Classic apps if you have a use case that you want to see that app in Lightning. It's a simple one-click upgrade process, and I really mean actually 2 clicks. I lied. It's a 2-click process to upgrade your app from Classic to Lightning. And what happens is when you upgrade your Classic app, it clones the metadata of your Classic app. So it creates a copy, and now you have a Classic version of the app and now a Lightning version of the app. Why should you do that? So remember I told you the advantages of Lightning apps, the app branding, the navigation style, the utility bar at the bottom, the Lightning pages that you can customize. You can take advantage of all those features, right? So if you have an existing Classic app, in the short run, you can just check that box, start accessing the app in the Lightning world, right? That's your short-term solution. For the long term, what we recommend is upgrade it. Take advantage of the features that are available in Lightning. And I'll show you what the upgrade looks like. It's a really straightforward 2-click process. So why don't we do a quick demo? And I will actually show you how simple the process is. So here I have my org. You will recognize it's a simple org. Let me refresh, make sure I'm logged in. OK, so I'm logged into my org. Straightforward, it's my sales app, and I have some tabs. So this is my default. But what I'm going to show you now is to actually create a new app. So the first thing you do in Lightning is to open your setup. So something we did in the previous release is, if you notice, the setup now loads in a new browser tab. So a lot of customers give us feedback. We, as administrators, you like to work on this setup and then go back to your main org. So we do that now. So we load the setup in a new browser tab. And then creating an app is really as simple as this. So you go to your apps menu, and then you have a menu called App Manager. And then I have my existing apps over here, right? Some of them are Lightning, some of them are Classic. I've been doing some demos in my org, so I have some stuff here. Let me show you how to create a new Lightning app. So there is a button right here on the right-hand top corner. I click on that, and here we go. This is my menu. It's as simple as you see at the bottom. There are 5 steps. It's a very simple walkthrough. So you start with giving an app name. So let's call it my Astro app, if I can spell. Astro app. And the developer name, as you know, it takes the name, it puts an underscore, give it some kind of description. Let's pick an image. So this is the app branding that I was telling you about. So I have a Astro image. No presentation is complete without one of our furry characters. So I have my Astro here, and then the color. So it uses a default color, but I can always change that. So let's try, let's say, some kind of a salmon-ish color. And I click Next. So this is my basic app branding. The next step is it asks me for my navigation style. So there are 2 different styles, standard and console. So I'll stick with standard, and then we'll come back to the console navigation. And then this is about service, so we'll ignore that for now, and then click Next. And then this is the utility bar. This is where I can add things to the utility bar, and it will show up at the left-hand bottom. So we'll come back to this again. So just remember that it's a straightforward thing. We'll revisit this later. And then it asks me to select my items. So these are essentially your tabs, right? So what I was creating an Astro app. So what I would like to have in my Astro app, I would like my home, which is my Lightning home. So I add it. And then let's say I want my accounts. Again, if I can spell, here you go. And then let's say I want my contacts. And I flip it over. So I'm selecting, just keeping it simple. I'll have 3 tabs, 3 items in my new app that I'm creating. Click Next. And the final, which profiles should have access to this app? So again, you have flexible control over who you are creating this app for, right? So you will have a reason for creating an app. Maybe you're creating the app for your sales users. So hopefully you will have a profile called sales users or sales managers or inside sales representatives. So you pick the right profile. In this case, I'll keep it simple. I'm logged in as a system administrator, so I'll choose that profile. And then I'll click Save and Finish. And just like that, in a few seconds, if the connection holds up, it did. And my Astro app has been created. So if you see it right here, I have my Astro app, the one that I just created. Now, since I have a second tab, I was working in the Setup tab. So I'll go back to my main tab here, and I will do a refresh. It loads up the same interface again. And then in Lightning, you click on this waffle or the tic-tac-toe menu, which is called the App Launcher, to access your apps, right? So in Classic, you went to the right-hand top corner. There was a drop-down. Here, it's on the left-hand side, right? This is the App Launcher. So you click on that. And then what you see here is all the apps that I have. Since I have a demo org, I have a bunch of apps that I created. And then if I scroll, this is the Astro app that I just created. So I click on it, and what it's going to do, it's going to load the Astro app that I just created. So a couple of things to notice. The app branding, I chose the picture. I chose that salmon-ish color, so it's showing up there. And then I chose accounts and contacts. So see, it's straightforward. It's showing up my accounts and my contacts. In a similar way, if I had any custom Lightning pages, I could add those. And then the toolbar, the utility bar, shows up at the bottom. So we'll revisit that in a little bit. So that's how you create a new Lightning app. And then let's say you had a use case to upgrade one of your Classic apps. So let's have a look at what that experience looks like. I have an app over here. It's called A-Team. And app type, it says classic. So that's how I know that it's a classic app. And then the visible in Lightning is not checked, right? That checkbox is not checked. What that tells me is this is a purely classic-only app that I had from some time ago, and I want to upgrade it. So you click on this down arrow, and then you see an option called upgrade. So this is the two-click process to upgrade your classic app to Lightning. I click on upgrade, and then what it does is it just adds the word Lightning to the name of my app. I'll keep it simple, and I'll click upgrade. And just like that, my classic app has now been upgraded to Lightning, right? Now it's showing up here. Now I want to take advantage of the Lightning-only features. So what I can do now is go here and then click on Edit. And you remember this screen when I created a new app. The same menu is now available for me for this classic app that we just upgraded to Lightning. And I can now change the navigation style. I can add a utility bar. I can pick and choose what tabs I want to show. So this existing classic app had these tabs, so that information is carried over, because like I said, we cloned the metadata, so we already have that information. And remember that the classic app has been left untouched, right? So if you have users who are using classic and some new users using Lightning, the classic users, they have no change in their experience. That A-Team app is still there, and it will behave just the way it was behaving yesterday. But for your classic users, what you can do now is, now since you upgraded the app and created a Lightning version, you can now come here, and if you have a profile for your Lightning users, you can now grant access to those users to the Lightning app. Make sense? Straightforward? And let's just click Done here. So that's the basic process and basic experience of creating a new Lightning app and upgrading your classic apps. So again, if you have any questions, please just raise your hand, and I'm happy to take questions as I go. But I do have a little bit more to share with you. So let's go back to my slides. And let's have a look at what the Lightning pages look like. So one of the things I mentioned is that you can actually customize your Lightning pages per app. So a quick screenshot here. I'll get into some details. I'll show you how you actually configure that. What I'm showing is, maybe it's a little hard to see, but there are two different apps, right? Just trust me when I say this. It's a sales app, and it's a maintenance app on the right-hand side. And we're looking at the same account. So what you're looking at is what we call the record detail page. We're looking at a specific account, and as you can see, the UI is different. I have some kind of a chart on the right-hand side. I don't have that chart on the left-hand side. So what I did was I configured or I customized my account record detail page, and I assigned it to two different apps, right? This version of my account detail page is assigned to the sales app, and this version of my account detail page is assigned to the maintenance app. So when a person comes in, they see the same data. If they make changes, that data goes to the same database. It gets persisted, but we have two different views of the same data. There are three types of pages. Yes, question. Go ahead, please.
So the two pages that we had, so we were seeing differently, are those two same different pages, or they're just app-specific?
That's a good question. I'll repeat the question. So these two pages, are they using different page layouts? I'll come back to that a little bit, but let me answer it. What you see on the screen here, this is a Lightning-only artifact. So you are looking at how you lay out your Lightning components. The actual page layout, the one that you know from your classic experience, that is still relevant, and I'll show you where that comes in. So in this page, if my laser pointer works, there will be a tab over here called the Details tab, okay? There is a tab. And the fields that you see in the Details tab, they actually come from your classic page layout. So the field level security, the access that you have configured for your actual page layout, those will be carried over to Lightning. And I'll show you more in a little bit, but that's a very good question. And there are three types of pages. So the first one that I just showed you, it was for a specific, oh, sorry, go ahead, question.
Yeah, I was just wondering how this interacts with different record types, which we're already used to using in
Similar, same answer. Your page layouts, when you have your page layouts and when you configure for specific profiles and record types, that is still respected in the Lightning world. So the actual fields on the Details tab, it uses the existing page layouts. Everything else on the screen, it has no connection with a record type. And I'll show you a little bit more of how you configure the page itself, the entire page, not just the fields, and you can assign it to different profiles. But that's, again, a fair question, and it's a good question. And so there are three types of pages. The first one, which we just discussed, is the record detail page. So what that is it's a specific record. It's a specific account, a specific opportunity that you're looking at, right? And this is where both your questions, right? So the metadata that you have, the existing page layout information, is still used. So for example, on the right-hand side over here, you see the laser pointer is too tiny. What you see on the top, those 4 fields on the top, it's called the highlight panel. So if you had a compact layout configured in the classic world, that's where we're getting that information from. So we're using your existing compact layout and your existing page layout, and we're using that information. The metadata still makes sense in the Lightning world, okay? And then this is how, this is a screenshot I'll show you in more detail. When you configure your record detail page, you have a lot of flexibility on how you want to grant access to that specific record detail page. So there are 3 levels. As you can see, it's kind of configured. So you can make that page org default, as the name suggests. That inside that org, the customized record detail page will be similar for every single person across different apps because it's org default. On the second level, you have app default. So you can make a page app default, like I showed you in the screenshot. My page was made default for a specific app. So regardless of the profile, whenever somebody accesses that app, you will see that version of the page. If you want to go a third level of detail, you can actually pick and choose your record type and profile. So that answers your question over there. So when you actually have a page and the other things that you see, in addition to the actual page layout, if you drag and drop additional Lightning components, the third level, which is picking the specific profile, that's where you can actually specify that. Okay? So that's the record detail page. There is also something called the home page. So when you actually configure, when you actually switch over to your Lightning interface, or you log into the Lightning interface, you have the first page. And there is a screenshot over there. So it's like a placeholder where you can put the information that you usually need. So for sales reps, if you're accessing your existing accounts, you're doing research, we have an app called, we have a component called News. You can drag and drop the News component on the home page. Every morning when you come in, instead of going to a second browser window and Googling it, you can get your news right there inside your app. Say you have, if you're a manager, you have some workflow items to approve. There is a Lightning component for that called items to approve. You can put that on your homepage. So when you log in every morning, you have the homepage, which has things that you have to do on a daily basis anyway. You can configure those. If you're a manager and you want to keep track of your sales quota, you have a report, you have a dashboard, you can drag and drop that on the homepage, right? So it's a very easily configurable way. And the homepage, you can either make it org default, so a homepage is org default, or you can pick specific profiles again. So again, based on the profile, you can have a different version of the Lightning homepage, okay? And there is a third type of page called app page, okay? So the app page is not the homepage, it's not a record detail, so it's like a freestanding, think of it as a blank canvas, right? When you have a record detail page, it's tied to a specific record. It's tied to an account, it's tied to an opportunity. This page, the app page, think of it as a plain canvas. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a Lightning component that you use for tracking time of your consultants. And you have another app that you use for expense management for your consultants. Let's say you want to put those 2 things on one page, because every Friday, your consultants, they're logging in, they're logging their time, they're filing their expenses. You can create a page for that, the Lightning app page. Since it's a freestanding, context-free page, you can drag and drop those 2 components on it, save it, and again, you can assign it to a specific profile. So if you have a profile called consultants, assign that page to them. When they log in, they'll be able to see that app page. Okay, so that's the third type of page called Lightning app page. And then the Lightning app page, it's very flexible. So you have a page layout. You can configure your components in a certain way. And when you access that page using different devices, using different form factors, the page very nicely loads up in those different form factors. So like I show here, when you look at it on a phone, we show one column. When you have a larger device with a little more real estate, it shows more columns, and on the desktop. So it spans across devices. You don't have to worry about what the page will look like. In fact, when you go to the Lightning App Builder, you can actually see live what the page will look like in different devices. And I'm going to show it to you live in 10 seconds here. So let's go back to my demo. And let's keep an eye on the clock. So what I'll do is I'll show you quickly how to create one type of page. So let's come here. Let's say, for example, actually, I want to show you the opportunity page, because most of you might be using that. So a couple of things that I'm going to do. The Astro app that I created, I'm going to edit that app real quick. Let's go to Select Items, and I'm going to add my opportunities here. So here's my tab. I click on it, and I add it, and I save. And I say done. So my app now has the opportunity tab. So I come back here, do a quick refresh, and an additional tab should show up, and it does, and it's opportunity. So I click on that, and then let's see, let's open this list view, and I have a few opportunities here. And let's click on a specific opportunity. So when I click on a specific opportunity, this is the record detail page that I'm looking at. This is what I can configure. How do I do that? It's really straightforward. Two ways. Go to the actual record detail, and then click on the gear, and then say Edit Page. Okay? And in a couple seconds, it loads that page in the edit mode, and we are in the Lightning App Builder. As you can see down here, everything becomes configurable. See, things are moving around. You might have a little difficulty seeing that. So just see this. Everything is configurable. I can actually click on things. If I wanted to remove something, I could. So let me quickly make a couple of changes, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So let's come here, and then let's pick something to add. Let's say Twitter timeline. I like this. So let's grab the Twitter timeline and then drag and drop it here. So let's say this opportunity, let's say I was working on the Nike opportunity, right? And if I wanted to kind of follow Nike, I could use their Twitter handle. This is a company called Assurity. So when I drag and drop the Twitter handle, it says, which Twitter handle do you want to track? So just like that, I say Assurity, and that's it. I click Save, and then I click Activate. So activation is where I get to choose who gets to see this page. Right? So I showed you the different options, in many levels of flexibility. I'll keep it simple. It is org default, so I'll leave it as org default right now, and I'll click Close. So what I've done is I have edited my opportunity detail page. And just like that, I'll click back, and I'm back on my opportunity page. It takes a couple seconds, and there you go. You see this Twitter, we just added a Lightning component for Twitter on the right-hand side, and since I'm working on the Assurity opportunity, I'm now following the Twitter handle right here on the opportunity detail page. Okay? So it's as simple as that. We're using simple drag and drop tools. You can quickly modify. And since I made this org default, if this page is viewed in the context of any app by any user, they will now see this Twitter Lightning component on the right-hand side. Okay? If I wanted to, I could go many levels of configurations. I could pick and choose which app I want to show it in. I could pick which profile I want to show this to. So really straightforward. And then the other way to access this is on the Setup tab. So I'll remind you again that Setup opens in a new tab. So I have my second tab here. So in the quick find, just type Lightning App Builder, and it shows up. And I'll open it like this. And I can click New. And I have these options. So the three types of pages that I told you, they show up here. And then if I wanted to create, let's say, a Lightning homepage, I choose that, click Next. And then I could follow the same process, and then it would load up in the Lightning App Builder, and I could use the same WYSIWYG drag and drop tool to configure my homepage. Yes, ma'am, you had a question in the back. Good question. Good question. When you go to the Lightning App page, does it always have to be 2 columns? We have about 8 or 9 different layouts that are available out of the box today. There are different types of layouts, 2 columns, 3 columns with a header on top. What we are working on, I don't have an exact roadmap for you, and this is where the forward-looking statements comes in. We are working on actually giving you the ability to create your own templates. So if you want to have 1 column, just 1 column, and that's it, nothing else, you can do that in the future. So in one of the future releases, we'll give you that ability. Today, we give you like 8 or 9 different templates, and I'll show you if we have time towards the end. Why don't I show it to you right now? Because it will be more clear. So when I click on New, so there are 3 types of pages, as I said. So let's say I want to create a record page. When I click Next, I'll give it a name. And since this is a record detail page, I have to pick an object to which this page will be tied. Let's just go with account. And when I click Next, see, these are the templates, right? So these are the templates that are available out of the box to you today. So how many are there? 8 or 9? So these are available to you. You can pick and choose what you want, and then you can actually drag and drop components onto those different areas that you have. In one of the future releases, we will give you the ability to create your own templates, and they will start showing up here, right? So it's something that we're working on in the future. Does that make sense? OK, good. All right. So let's go back to the demo and show you a few more cool things that are available to you as part of your Lightning experience building your apps. So the utility bar. So what is it? So it's a replacement for, think of your left bar that you had in the classic world. It's a persistent bar that shows up at the bottom of your browser. What you can put in there are Lightning components. And Lightning components are, think of them as Lego bricks, right? You can use those Lightning components, those Lego bricks, to build something a lot more meaningful. Those Lightning components, you can put them on the home page, you can put them on the Lightning app page, on a record page, and also in the utility bar. So there are 3 types of Lightning components. There are a bunch of Lightning components that we actually give you out of the box. I think we have about 9 or 10 different Lightning components. You can develop your own Lightning components. It's not very difficult. It's a little bit of a learning curve. And you are at Trailhead DX. There will be hundreds of sessions where you can actually learn how to develop your own Lightning components. And the third, you can actually grab Lightning components from the App Exchange. So in the classic world, you grabbed an entire app from the App Exchange. In the Lightning world, you can actually pick and choose a specific component from the App Exchange. And then you can put that Lightning component wherever it makes sense for you. You can grab a Lightning component from the App Exchange and put it only in the utility bar and nowhere else, if it makes sense. So 3 types of Lightning components, and the utility bar is one of the places where you can actually put your Lightning components. And then console applications. So I'll, again, show a quick demo of this, but similar concept to what you know from the classic world. So in the console application, again, these are meant to be very productive apps for your specific users. If you have sales users, service users, so there's a lot going on the screen here. So what I'm showing is a console app with there are a few tabs in there. This is a sales app that I created. So what you see here loaded is the opportunity object over there, right there. And what happens in the console app is you only see one object at a time. We make good use of the real estate. And when you click on specific opportunities, they actually load up in new tabs within the same window that you are in. So the idea is to make it really fast. And then you never see the rainbow icon or the seagulls now for the summer release. You know how when you're loading a page, it takes a couple seconds sometimes to load. When you're using console apps, you don't have to wait those 2 seconds. Everything loads right away. And the second very cool thing is that it remembers the actual things that you're working on. So let's say you're a sales rep. You're working on 4 opportunities that are hot. It's 25th of the month. You want to close them in the next 5 days. You're working on them on a daily basis. When you finish the day and you close your browser window, it's going to remember which tabs were open, which opportunities you're working on. You don't have to think about them next day. When you come back in, these opportunities up here, they will be preloaded for you when you actually log into your console app. And then a very cool feature that we released in the summer release 2 weeks ago is I'm showing you something called the split view. So what you're looking at is on the left-hand side, you see a little gray window left side of the screen. That's what we call the docked view. So it's a list view, actually. And then when you click on those items in the list view, they actually load on the right-hand side. And then you can get it out of the way if you don't want it. So we have made it possible to have your list view and the actual record details on the right-hand side. So that's the functionality of console app. So why don't we do a demo? We still have a few minutes, and let me show you what that looks like. So I'll go back to my org. And let's come here. So as you know, I go to the app menu where I create my app. So I had created an Astro app. So I'll go back there to my app manager menu. I'll click on new Lightning app. And then this time, I'm going to call it Astro Console app. OK? And then we'll just leave it default for now and then go next. And this is where I pick console navigation, because I want to create a console type app. I'll click next. And then utility bar, let's add something so I can actually show you what that looks like. So let's say I want to have the history component. So I click on history. It shows up here right away. Let me add one more. Let's say I want to have the notes component. If I take notes, I want to see the notes here. So I add the notes component, and I'll use all the default. You have some settings here. You can choose the size of the window that pops up. You can choose the icon. You can actually have some settings. I'll keep the defaults. Click next. And then since this is my sales app, I want to have a couple of objects. Let's say opportunities, and let's say leads. I'll keep it simple. So just these 2 tabs that I want to have. Click next. And then system administrator, which is me, logged in, assign it to that profile, save and finish. And just like that, it creates a console app for me. OK, so I'm in the setup tab. So I'll go back to my main tab, and I'll do a quick refresh. It loads in a couple seconds. I'll go to my app launcher menu, the tic-tac-toe, the waffle, and I should now see my new console app that I created, right? So this was the app we upgraded from Classic that now shows up, and this is the console app that I just created. So let's open that. And let me show you what that looks like. So I'm in the console app now, and I only have 2 objects, right? Opportunities and leads. So it doesn't take up all the space. It only shows opportunities. If I'm interested in the leads, I click on leads. The opportunity tab goes away. It's using the real estate here. So let's go back to opportunities. I'm a sales rep. When I click on a surety, look at what happens. It loads in a tab, and it's fast. It's right away. And I'm using the split view. So this is a list view on the left-hand side, and I can quickly toggle back and forth. If I don't like the split view, I can say table view, and this is your good old traditional list view that you know and love. But if I wanted the split view, I can just go here and click split view. So it's showing here, this is my list view. When I click on the next opportunity, you see quickly loads up in a new tab. Now, it's taking up a little bit of real estate. I want it to go away. There is this little arrow over here. Click on that, and it gets out of the way. It's docked, so it's still available for me right here. Now I can work on my opportunities. And then second nice feature here, so I'm working on this surety opportunity. I'm the opportunity owner. So if I click on that, see what's happening here? It's loading that in a sub-tab. I'm still in context. I haven't lost this browser window that I was working in. And this is my details are still available here. And then if I click on another link, let's say I click on the account because I want to see what's going on with that account. I click on it. It creates another sub-tab. So I have my full context while I'm working in my console app. And I want to quickly show you something. So remember that I'm working on the surety opportunity. If I go away from here, say I wanted to do something else, I went to the sales app, or I logged out entirely of Salesforce, went home for the day. Let's come back tomorrow, and let me show you how my state is persisted. So I come back and open up the Astro console app again, and you see it remembers context for me. It remembers what I was doing, which tabs I had opened, and everything loads up just the way I had left it.
Is there a hard limit on the number of records you can have?
That's a good question. There must be some limit. I just don't remember. I am going to give you my business card, and let's get an answer for you. I'm sure there must be some limit, because if you load 200 records, the tabs will become really tiny, and the user experience will suffer. So I don't want to say there is no limit. There must be some limit. I just don't know. I just don't remember. The question was, is there a limit to the number of tabs that you can open? There must be some limit to it, okay? And then just quickly finish off by showing you the utility bar. So I added a couple of things in the utility bar. One was the notes. So I click on it, and it opens up. I had taken a note yesterday, and I can quickly access my note over here, and then I can put it away. And then history, I can quickly access that. Since I opened all these tabs and sub-tabs, those are quickly available to me using the history component. So I could add other components in there in the utility bar. Yes? That's a good question. Something we're thinking about. What we do have, though, not answering your question, but what we do have is something called the JavaScript console API. What we are doing is, it's in a pilot phase right now. Why don't I go back to my slides and show you something? Right now, we do not have a control for what goes into the utility bar, but we have control for what you can do from the utility bar. So if you have a Lightning component, so let's quickly go to my slides, and I'll show you a couple things before we finish. So this slide is not your answer, but let me give you an answer. So the JavaScript console API, which is a pilot, so if you're interested, find me after the session. I can get you signed up. You can write a Lightning component, and using the console API, you can actually open a new tab. You know the tabs that I was showing you? You can programmatically pop a tab. So that's something we're doing in the summer release. It's a pilot, and it's expected to go GA in the winter release. And something we're thinking about how to control what goes into the utility bar. So that's something we're thinking about. And a quick forward-looking thing, so dynamic Lightning pages. So when you have a component on your page, you can actually put a condition on that Lightning component if and when that component should show up. So what I'm showing on my screen is, let's say for a high-value opportunity, you want to provide some additional guidance to your sales rep. So you can put a condition on it. So what condition I'm putting here is, if the opportunity amount is greater than 100,000, then show that Lightning component. Otherwise, that Lightning component won't show up. So again, this is a pilot, and we are going to make this generally available in the winter release. So hopefully, I have shown you how easy it is to configure apps. If you want more help, we have this URL, salesforce.com/getting-started. So we have a lot more help for you over there. You can actually follow along. There are a number of different resources. I hope you know about Trailhead, white papers, and circles of success. And for premier customers, if you want to actually talk and have a one-on-one engagement with a specialist like me, you could actually engage with us in the format of an accelerator. Yes, sir?
Can you show what the classes pages looks like?
Why don't I show you offline? We're just about time here. So find me after the session, OK? And then just to summarize, hopefully we have shown you how easy it is to create apps, and you can take advantage of what's available in Lightning and enable your sales users to sell smarter, sell faster, and to sell the way you want. All right? Thank you.